for today. So again, you can write it down in your notes app if you want to write it down notebook paper. Then you don't have to worry about Google Drive crashing, not being able to turn in assignments, things like that. You can write it on a Google Doc, Word doc, whatever you want to do. All right, so describe the hardships the Treaty of Versailles placed on Germany after the First World War. There you go. So I'll give you a few minutes to write that down. And remember those 5 points that are up on the board. What's up? Yeah, you have your response down? Done already. All right. What's up? Not yet. Go ahead, go to the bathroom. All right, so let's go over this. Describe the hardships that the Treaty of Versailles placed on Germany. So where do we start here? Where do we start? Who are the people coming up with this idea, this treaty? What was the name of these people? What was the group name of them anyway? Go ahead, Troy.
The Big Four.
The Big Four. Good work. The Big Four. Let's all write this up real quick. Big Four. And who were they again? Jeffrey, give him one. Give me one here.
It was President of the United States.
Yeah, who's that?
Good question.
Good question. Oh, you know this. Come on. You got it?
Off the top of my head, but if I can get my notes loaded up, I can tell you.
Okay. Okay, I'll give you some time here.
It's really just in their names. So.
You don't know it? Okay, Autumn, go ahead. Yeah, good job. Woodrow Wilson. Remember now? Okay, good. Woodrow Wilson. Who else? Troy?
George.
Yeah, Clemenceau. Good job. Where is he from?
France.
France. Good job. So he's one of the biggest players there, trying to put all the burdens on Germany. Who else? Go ahead, Gracie.
David George.
Yeah, David Lloyd George. I'll just put George up here. And where's he from? Where?
Italy.
No. David Lloyd George.
Great Britain.
Great Britain. There you go. Good job. Good job. And one of his biggest things was with the Navy. Jeffrey.
Any redemption. Orlando from Italy.
Good job, Orlando. Good. Orlando. Good. Oh, those were the big four. Make sure you remember them, okay? There we go. I think that will work. The big four. All right, so what did the treaty do to Germany? Or the, I'll just put Treaty of D. There you go. Treaty of Versailles. What was the first thing that we talked about yesterday? Go ahead, Jeffrey.
They had to assume all the responsibilities of the war.
All right, sole blame, right? Sole blame of the war, which was the war guilt clause. That's what Germany really didn't like, all right? They didn't think that they were the sole blame of this. They didn't agree with it, right? They thought that this was unhonorable. Okay, good. What else? What else do we got here? Kiara? What's number 2?
They lost the rules of what hemispheres and they lost the territory.
Okay, all right, so we'll talk about land here. I guess we could throw that up there. Borderlands, good job. And that was Alsace-Lorraine, okay, right along the French border. All right, and then parts on the eastern border, which would create Poland. Good. All right, what else? Go ahead, Forney.
They were forced to pay millions in reparations to Britain and France.
Good job. So I'll put for 3 territorial losses, because that kind of goes with the borderlands. Territorial losses. So no longer can get resources, raw materials from other lands. Good. And 4 reparations. Good. So billions of dollars they had to pay, right? Okay, good job. So they had to pay all this money back when, how are they going to do it? No borderlands, no territories. How are they going to fuel their economy? How are they going to fuel their industries? It's going to be hard to do. Okay, and now they have to pay reparations, pay back all this war debt, all the damages done, especially in France, okay, from the war's effect. Good. All right, and then the last one. What was the last one here? Trinity, go ahead.
Reduced military.
Good job. Military restrictions. Military restrictions. Good. Military restrictions. All right. So they had to get rid of their Navy. They had to draw their forces back to about 100,000 troops just for defensive purposes. And as you can see, this treaty really tried to put the whole blame on Germany. Make sure that they could never rise to power ever again. And without borderlands, without some of their territories, okay, they can't fuel their economy. They can't produce finalized goods, products. They try to establish some sort of repayment back to the Allied powers. Good. Is there any questions on that? So remember the big four, those men. Remember the Treaty of Versailles, what it did to Germany. Okay. And again, that's one of the causes to World War II. Just the ending of World War I, honestly, right? If there's a World War I, World War II, you have to look back at the first war to see what happened, what pushed for the second one. You guys good with that? Okay. Good. All right, so pull out the reading from yesterday. We're going to go over it. If you didn't do it, please go along with it. So fill out the answers. I can give you some sort of credit for it. So this was analyzing the 14 points and the Treaty of Versailles. All right, number 1, what do the Treaty of Versailles and the 14 points have in common? What do we got for number 1? Forney, what do you have, man?
I said the 14 points are mainly about establishing countries' independence, making every more free place to live. And the treaty focuses mainly on punishing Germans for what they did, and it can be seen as blame and preparation of that.
All right, okay, good job, good job. So in many cases, the demilitarization, right, they're trying to settle disputes. They're trying to maybe look for peace for all the countries, right? And they all can agree that Germany is one of the aggressors in this war, okay, and push for this violence. So we got to really try to demilitarize them. But for the most part, looking for peace, with all these countries. Good. 2. How is military strength addressed in Wilson's 14 points? How does it compare to the Treaty of Versailles? What do we have for 2? Serene, what do you got for 2?
The 14 points it called for reduction of armaments by all nations.
Okay, good. Good job. Good job. And how does it compare to the treaty?
The treaty just calls for reductions by the German army.
Yeah, good. Good job. So 14 points. Wilson's 14 points. Okay, remember, he's president of the United States. You got that, Jeffrey? Okay. Yep. So he was calling for all countries to disarm, trying to demilitarize, right, and reduce their military. And in the Treaty of Versailles, it was just for Germany. Okay, good. Good job. 3. How is responsibility addressed in the treaty by Wilson? What do we have for 3, Autumn? Good job. So Wilson's 14 points says, hey, this was kind of like a group effort here. We can't really just blame Germany for this. But in the Treaty of Versailles, it really picks out Germany as this aggressor. It picks them out to be the people, or the country that started this war. A lot of that had to do with Clemenceau in France. They didn't want to get taken over by Germany again, or they don't want to see their neighbor become this dominant power to attack them. Good. All right. Where are we at here? Are we at 4 now? Yeah. What is the purpose of the treaty? Troy, go ahead.
Make sure Germany doesn't become a world power.
Okay, good job. So with the Treaty of Versailles, make sure that Germany doesn't become this world power again. Good. A lot of it too, just to try to have some sort of armistice. Okay, and obviously it's in favor of what side? Troy, go ahead.
The Allies.
Yeah, the Allies. Good work. Good work. 5. What is the purpose of Wilson's 14 points? How does he intend to achieve it? What do we have for 5 here? Kira, what do you have for 5?
That it was to create this way.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So it's trying to really bring peace to the world, okay, and not blame solely Germany for this, because Wilson at the time knew that, if we do this, this could raise tensions even more. This could push Germany towards hatred and maybe seek more violence or conflict. 6. Why might Europe resent Wilson and his ideas? What do you think? What do you think? Forney, what do you got for 6?
I just said because he's trying to change their ways, boundaries and stuff.
Yeah, good job, right? Good job. So with these European countries, they've been around for thousands of years, right? And 1,000-year around. So these countries were always at battle with each other. They were always at having alliances, rivalries with one another. Then all of a sudden, the United States, which is across the Atlantic Ocean, I won't say just formed, but newly formed country, right? Trying to tell them and dictate them how to run their alliances, how to run their rivalries, I guess you could say, their competitors against one another or with working with one another. They're trying to tell them how to operate their military, right? To demilitarize it, okay? They're trying to focus on establishing trading partners with all these European countries. So in a way, they're trying to dictate their economy to them as well. So these European countries are kind of sitting back, why is the United States dictating all these ideas, right? Why are they trying to establish the precedent here with these negotiations? It makes no sense, right? It's like a stranger coming into your house and telling you how to run your household, right, Forney?
Yeah.
Would you agree to that? No. It's like, yeah, well, beat it, man. 7. Why did the U.S. Senate refuse to ratify the treaty? What do we think here? Stream, what do you got for 7?
would not leave any advantage to the U.S. Any gains to the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, good job. Good job. So how would it benefit the United States? Okay, why should we get involved even more with these conflicts in Europe? Okay, good. Good job. All right, is there any questions on that? So again, if you didn't turn it in, you didn't do it. I hope you went over it now and did it. Turn it in. I'll give you a credit for it. You're going to lose some late points, but it's better than nothing. All right, moving forward here today. Vocab. Here are the vocab terms. So let me make sure I'm present. Yep, I am. All right, so we got hyperinflation, the Kellogg-Briand Act, the Weimar Republic, the Dawes Plan, and Gustav Stressman. He's going to be the focal point today. Unfortunately, things don't work out in his favor. It does at first, and things are turning all right. It seems like it's working out pretty good for Germany. All of a sudden, something happens and ends all of his work. All right, so let's go over this real quick. Hyperinflation. What is hyperinflation? What is that? Yar, go ahead.
Very high and accelerating inflation that happens.
Okay. And with hyperinflation, that is what? Serene? What else do you have for hyperinflation?
It increases the price of all things, basically makes it unviable.
Yeah, good job. And then that worth of the currency that they have is pretty much worthless, right? It is not. You can't really purchase anything with it because the purchasing power is so low, and a lot of times it comes from overproducing, printing out so much of that currency to try to tackle some of the economic problems, and that doesn't work. You just can't print out any more money. You need to have some sort of backing or reserve, right? Okay, good. Kellogg-Briand Act. You have some cereal in here or what? Forney, what do you got for the Kellogg-Briand Act?
It's a pact for 1928 international agreement which signatory states promise not to use war to resolve disputes or conflicts of whatever nature or whatever. Yeah, which was
All right, good. So this was kind of a branch of the League of Nations where all these countries tried to come together and try to solve disputes before war would happen. And this was around all the countries in the world at the time. It was pretty much like 65, 68 countries that had strong, heavily militarized countries. And they want to try to make sure that they solve disputes without war happening again. So in a way, it was like a peace negotiation. Okay. And guess who was involved? Germany. Wow. Germany's getting up there.
They let them get involved.
Yeah. We'll talk about it today. Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republic. What do you got, Troy? Yeah, okay, so good job. So it's like the democracy that was established right after World War I, where political parties could have the ability to obtain power through votes, through democracy. And at first, it wasn't working well. Then it starts working pretty good. And we'll talk a little bit later with today's lesson how it just collapsed. Dawes plan. What's a Dawes plan? Gracie, what do you got for Dawes plan? You didn't get that far? All right, sorry about that. Autumn, do you have this one? No? Jeffrey?
The Dawes plan was a plan in 1924 that successfully resolved the issue of World War I reparations that Germany had to pay.
Good job. So the reparations that Germany had to pay, how are they going to do it? They took away all their land. They took away all their territory. It's going to be impossible, really, for them to try to establish themselves to pay back these debts. And the Dawes Plan was a way that the United States would loan money to Germany to pay back the Allied powers, which the Allied powers would then use that money to pay back the U.S. It's weird. It's like a big circle effect. And it's the United States really just getting their money back. Over through interest and things like that. They gain a little bit of money. But that works pretty good for a while. And then something crashes, which ends it. All right, last one. Gustav Stressman. What do we got here? Serene, what do you got for this guy?
He was a German statesman who was chancellor in 1923.
Yep.
He was foreign minister from 1923 to 1929.
Good work. Good work. So we'll talk about him a lot today with today's lesson and how he's going to try to push Germany in the right direction, which he does pretty good. He wins a Nobel Peace Prize in the making of it. But then something happens terribly, which creates even more issues for Germany, which leads to the rise of dictators. Okay, here we go. So the next cause I want to talk about, we went over the Treaty of Versailles, we went over the League of Nations and how that kind of was, was helping things out. But the United States didn't join. Was Germany allowed to join the League of Nations? No, they weren't. They were not allowed to have a seat at the table. So they're kind of left out. All right. And with that, Germany had to try to make some sort of stance to get involved again at the world stage with international relations. Okay, and Stressman would be the guy that does it. That vocab term we had, Gustav Stresemann. But anyway, another cause to World War II was economic depression. Okay, economic depression. So at the end of World War I, we all know a lot of the countries, especially in Europe, went through a lot of turmoil. They went through a lot of issues trying to rebuild, okay? And they really trusted the United States and depended on the United States business, okay? Capitalist economy, private business, setting up a sound relationship. And the U.S. was doing a really good job at producing a lot of products and finalized goods to help rebuild Europe, France, Germany, okay, Great Britain. A lot of these countries in Europe depended on the United States. So this is where we see the United States going through the roaring 20s. Right? Everything was good. Everything was happy. Right? Except for the organized crime, I guess, with Prohibition, with Al Capone. But for the most part, things were going really well. Okay, living was increased. And the United States was going, it was going really well. But at the world stage, not so much. Okay. Stressman, I want to talk about today. Okay. With the Weimar Republic. This was established right at the end of World War I. And as you know, with politics, political parties today, do they really agree with each other? No, no. You have extreme values from both sides of the plane, of the spectrum, right? On the left side, the right side. And the moderates kind of fall in the middle. It's like, oh, which side are you going to join? Well, why can't we just focus right down the middle? All right, so the Weimar Republic was going through a lot of issues in Germany. Okay, hyperinflation took toll. Their plan to try to help Germany get back on their feet and pay back these reparations was just print more money. That's a good idea. What do you think, Gracie? Just print more money. If more people have money in their pockets, that would be better. They can just purchase whatever things, whatever items they need. But what happens to the price of products then? Yeah, they go through the roof, right? It comes to a point where it's so unaffordable. And what happens to that worth of that dollar? It plummets. It plummets down through the floor, right? It's not worth anything. Okay, there's actually pictures of people putting money in Germany on the wall as wallpaper because it was cheaper to use the actual currency than actually buying wallpaper. Can you imagine that? Getting all the dollar bills you do from a job and putting it all over the walls, and that's cheaper than buying wallpaper. Might as well do it. Timber. Okay, same thing to heat the homes. It's going to be a lot of money to purchase some wood, so let's just use the money, the currency. It's worth less than actual wood. Crazy stuff, but that's what actually happened. So this hyperinflation didn't help things out at all. Okay, so it was up for Stressman, okay, the guy we just talked about with your vocab term. Make sure you write this down. He came be chancellor in 1923, and he was the foreign secretary as well. So his goal was to try to make sure that Germany was respected at the international level. Okay, to make sure that they could maybe set up sound relationship with these other European countries, to maybe be involved in the League of Nations, to maybe have decisions made at the world stage. That was his goal. Okay, and he actually did a pretty good job at it, which we'll talk about today. His first goal was to try to solve the issue with hyperinflation. And what do you think he did? So again, what was the worth of the dollar? What was the worth of the currency there? It was down through the roof. It was worthless, right? It was penniless. There was really no worth to it all. So what do you have to do to try to help with the standard currency? What do you have to back it with? What do you think? A lot of people think the United States should do this now. Anybody? Serene?
Printing so much money.
Stop printing it out, right? Yeah, and you have to try to have some sort of reserve backing in the banks to make sure that money is worth something. So they go to the gold standard. That means whatever they have in the banks, okay, that's what they can distribute with cash. So they stop printing out so much money, stop printing out so much currency. So then the worth of that dollar means something again. It's not just going to be pasted on people's walls or used as heating. Okay, so that was his first goal, and it worked out. Okay, it actually worked out. So more people were getting money to the point where it's not items and everyday goods weren't so unaffordable. Okay, and the currency started taking hold. Right, so using that towards backing of a gold standard worked out pretty well, and hyperinflation for a short time worked. Okay, 1924 though, they needed a little bit more assistance. They needed more help. And this is one of your vocab terms. What do you think they looked towards for the United States? What plan? What was your vocab term that was? It was a plan. What was it? To try to help rebuild and pay back some of these reparations. Go ahead, Autumn. The Dawes plan. Good work. The Dawes plan. So the Dawes plan, real quick, it's like a triangle. So now that Germany ended hyperinflation, now that they are finally getting back to a gold standard, right? That their money is being used and worth something now. The Dawes plan, pretty much like a triangle. So we have to start off with the United States, right? U.S. is going to loan money to who? Germany. Good work. I'll just put some cash here. And this is in the billions, guys. This is in the billions. And this is going to continue until Germany would repay their reparations to the Allied power. So I just kind of gave it away. Who would Germany then pay for the reparations? Yeah, the Allied powers, right? So I'll just say the Allied powers. Mostly France and Great Britain, okay? So this money being sent to Germany is just a loan. This is just cash, straight up money, okay? Cheddar cheese, right, Jeffrey? Yeah. So they're sending money to Germany. What do you think Germany's going to do with that money? They're just not going to send it right to the Allied powers right away. What are they going to do? Jeffrey?
They're going to turn it into capital such as coal, lumber, other manufactured goods.
Yeah, try to create factories, businesses, right? So that they can maybe produce some sort of resources, make sure that they can produce some sort of finalized goods. And then the money made off of that will then be paid to the Allied powers. You guys get that? All right, so the United States is going to send money to Germany. They're going to use that money to try to inspire capital gain, growth, right? Build factories, build businesses. And the money that they make from that, they will pay back the Allied powers. Good job. So I guess you can say they're going to create factories with that money. Okay, businesses. And the money from that, right, will be paid to the Allied powers. Okay, and then the Allied powers will then send it to who? Because they owe them, because they're dependent on the United States. Yeah, you got it, the United States. Okay. You can see how it's a triangle effect. The United States is just loaning money out. Germany's going to use that money to try to rebuild their factories, their businesses, and the money made off of that will be sent to the Allied powers. Okay, the Allied powers will take that money. Okay, we're going to try to repair ourselves from the war, and we're, obviously the same thing. Factories, growth, capital gain will be sent to the United States. Okay, and the United States is just kind of getting their money back. You see how it works? You see how these countries are are growing from this plan. Okay, good. So then Stresemann, real quick, with the Dawes plan, was working really well. And he thought, well, let's just stretch this loan out, these reparations out for a longer period of time. So at the time, they thought by 1988, we'll have this all paid for. We'll have all the repercussions paid for from the First World War. This will be great. And what else does that do? If they stretch out that loan, what happens? What happens? It lowers that payment then, right? If they stretch out that loan, that's going to lower the payment that Germany has to pay to the Allied powers. You guys see where I'm getting at? So what happens with that excess money? Where does it go? Where does it go? Jeffrey?
Those other places where they can use some help, such as possibly building another military.
All right, so they had demilitarized, but I see where you're getting at. That's okay. That's pretty good. But it probably goes to the people, right? So the people will then get that money, okay? And they'll use that to spend out in the economy. That ends that hyperinflation issue that we talked about. And what happens to the standard of living in Germany? What happens to that standard of living? It increases. Good work. Good work. So you see how this is all working out for Germany right now, right at the end of World War I. Stressman's doing a pretty darn good job. And he actually, because of his success, gains a Nobel Peace Prize. All right? And it's working out pretty good. This is going great. All right? And then after that, we see the Kellogg-Briand Act. And what did the Kellogg-Briand Act do? What did it allow finally for Germany? Bye, Jeffrey.
They allow them to get some aid in order to pay off the rest of it.
All right. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. But what does that do for Germany at the international level as a country? Huh?
Gives them a voice.
Gives them a voice, gives them a say. Finally, they see support. Finally, we see Germany joining the League of Nations and having a say at the international level. You see how Germany's finally becoming back to a world power without the hostility of a military. It's going awesome. It's going great. So make sure you remember Dawes Plan, Kellogg-Briand Act. Make sure you remember Gustav Stresemann. But unfortunately, Gustav Stresemann dies in 1929, heart attack. Who knows why? Okay, and we actually see with the political parties, extremists declining, more moderates coming to power, and the Weimar Republic's more respected in Germany because more people have more money, the standard of living increases, everybody's having a great time. It's going well. Okay, but like I said, 1929, Stressman dies. What else happens in 1929? Not yet, not yet. He's around, but not yet. Go ahead. Stock market crash. Good job. So if the stock market crashes in the United States, what happens to the world economy? Plummets. Because who are they all depending on money for? The United States. Because of the Dawes plan. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if maybe the stock market crash didn't happen, maybe if these European countries like the Allied powers didn't take so long to repay the United States, and who knows, maybe the Great Depression might not have happened. But because of the 1929 economic crash, the Great Depression in the United States, the world plummets back into a depression, even worse than it was right at the end of World War I. So now everybody, all these countries relied on the United States. It's gone. It's gone. So this is going to lead to extremist parties coming to power. The Weimar Republic was going great under Stresemann. He dies, and all of a sudden it goes away. Unbelievable. Stressman was doing such a good job, and then it was taken away. Gee, dang it. All right, hey guys, see you later. Have a good one.